to the another tutorial, and in this tutorial we're going to create a simple application covering all the concepts that you have learned in our previous tutorials. We'll be covering retrofit to retrieve the list of URLs and download files, the room database to persist the list of URLs, shared preference to store the number of URLs to retrieve, and file providers to store the files in the cache. Okay, and Apache IO to write the files, and repository to combine all the data sources, LiveData and ViewModel concepts to handle the logic from the user, and finally the RecyclerView to display the list of URL items, right? And okay, without wasting any time, let's go and start implementing the application. So our application at first will contain, like, let's create a package, let's create an API package that will contain the network related classes. So first class it will contain is like we have to create a data class that will model the response JSON. So this is our response JSON. We have to model create a model class for to model this response JSON, right? It will consist of message and status. So let me create inside my API data class called dog. It's a response of a dog. So dog, we have a status string, and we have also a URLs, so list of string. Okay, let me go and check it. Yeah, we have a list of URLs, as you can see here, a list of URLs for message, and we have a status which is a string, right? And okay, so guys, but be careful, like we have added the necessary dependencies. The dependencies that you have to add is like retrofit library, you have the retrofit converter Mosi library, then you have you need to have ViewModel library, LiveData, right? For example, if you're using data store, obviously data store. Otherwise you also need a room DB library, and yeah, this is it. Yeah, you just be careful that you have added all those dependencies in your build.creator file. Okay, now as you saw that we are using retrofit Mosi converter converter or Mosi, so we have to use the Mosi converter here. It's like field JSON, obviously, because you see the JSON, what it is giving you status and message, right? Obviously this is our status, and the second one will be not the URL but it's a message, right? That is written by our JSON. So okay, so after this, okay, let's go and see what we have to create a retrofit class, service class that will contain two methods. So let's okay, methods. What are the methods? The first method will represent the API call to return the list of bridge, and the second method will represent the API call to download the file. So okay, let's go and also create our this service class. Always inside our API package. So we'll be creating a service class. This download service it's not a class, actually it will be an interface, and it will be containing two methods as you to do told you. Dog get dogs, contain the path number, that we will be passing the number as input. Call a dog. So the first method will represent the API call to return the list of breeds. Okay, list of breeds of dog, right? So that as you can see here, it will, so we'll have to use the get breed round images random number. And the second method will represent the API to call the download the file. Okay, so let's download file URL string which will call and return the response body. Okay, so we have created the necessary methods. Okay, now let's go and create the our storage package, and inside storage packet we will be adding each and every storage, like for example room, shared preference, file provider, everything will be added there. So let's go and create our storage package. Storage package, and the first thing that we'll be adding in our storage package is our room database. Okay, so now our room, create a storage package, inside it create a room package also. Okay, so create a dog entity, dog DAO, and yeah, obviously our database class. So step by step, let's also implement the room database. So to implement the room database, obviously we need to create first our dog entity. So our dog entity class obviously it's a data class. So we will have ID, obviously it's a primary key, and we have a URL which is of type string. This is obviously a primary key, so primary key, and auto generate to true with your column info. The name will be your ID, and here we have a column info. Name will be our URL, and our entity have a table name that will be dogs. Okay, so now second thing that we have to create is our dog DAO. Obviously it's an interface, so it's like dog DAO. You have to obviously annotate with DAO, and then create our necessary override all our necessary CRUD operations that we are going to do with this dog DAO, with the dog database. So insert dogs, so this represents all the CRUD operations, right? Create, read, update, and delete. So your dogs is a list of dog entity, and you have load dogs which will live data list of dog entity, and finally you also have a delete all dogs. Okay, so one by one we will add the annotations, like this is for insert, and on conflict on conflict strategy replace, and for loading the dogs you have to make a query. So our query will be select from our dogs table name, and also here we have our query. Okay, here we'll delete from our docs table. Okay, so this is also, we finished our DAO. So now finally we will have to create our database class. Let's go and create our database class. Database but it is a doc database, and this database is abstract class, which will obviously extend our room database, and you will have our abstract function called dog DAO. And we have to annotation with database entities is only one entity we have, is like dog entity class, and then we have our version of our database is 1. Okay guys, so we have added our necessary classes for our room. So now let's go and also create our set preferences, right? So let's create another inside the same storage. We will have to create another package called preferences, and in this preferences we need to create a wrapper for our preferences. So let's go and create our class called around set preference that will return the number of URLs we need to use and set the number. The default will be 10. So let's go and create this preference wrapper. It's like download preference wrapper class. So this download preference wrapper class will have a shared preferences as a constructor parameter, and then we will have a methods like number of results. We'll have number of results, and which will return shared preferences get int. Obviously we have to also define our necessary key. Our default, as I told you, is a default number of result field number of results will be 10, right? As I told you, as there was written there as a the necessity. So constant value, we also need our key that is our number of results which is a key number of results. Okay, and then we get the int our key number of results with the default number of results. Save. Then we will also have to save the number of results that is inserted by our user. Number of results so it's a int value. Shared preferences, edit put int key number of results that you pass, and finally you apply. So this is our download preference wrapper, okay, which is doing a function of saving and getting the number of results, right? So what else? We also need to create another package now for our file provider. Okay, in the resource action, define your folder structure for file provider. So we also need to define our folder structure for file provider. So actually I have already provided my provider paths So my provider paths will have also extra now item which will be like our external cache path, which will be my media, and the path will be the root. Okay, so what is written here? Define folder structure for file provider. The file should be saved in the root folder of the external cache path tag. As you can see, the file should be saved in the root folder of the external cache path tag. So that, as you can see here, external cache path tag with the in the root folder, right? So now inside the storage create of file system package. So let's go and create our file system package. File system package. So API is okay, storage yeah, room is okay, preference okay. Now we also need another one for our it's called file yeah, you can name it as a file system, right? As you can see here, create a file system package. Okay, in the file system package, like we will be creating our necessary define a class that will be responsible for writing input stream into the file in FileProvider using context external cache directly. So we will be writing first file to URI mapper. Okay, file to URI mapper function get URI for file. We need a context, then file URI. Let's add the imports. Okay, so we return our file provider get URI for file context, and you pass your okay, so what is your package name? This is our package name. So our authority will be remote media provider. Okay, okay, let me go and check my manifest. So here I have to change my authorities. It's a remote provider. Okay, and file provider paths. This is our file provider paths. Okay, so okay, so what else now? Obviously we are missing something. Here is our file. Okay, now here we have to now create now next class, which is called provider file handler. So this provider file handler class, what we'll do, it will be consisting context file to URI mapper, then function, you write your stream, have your input stream, and then to save is file, your context, external cache directory name, your output stream will be like context resolver, open output stream, file to URI mapper, get a URI from file, pass your context and file to save, right? And then finally the mode is read and write. Okay, so we will be using IO utils. Okay guys, be careful that we are using this IO utils, Apache Commons IO. Okay, so this you have to use this, you have to obviously let me go to my dependencies, Gradle. Okay, you have to implement this IO library, that is this one, right guys? So just be careful, you have used this Apache Commons IO library. Okay, IO out utils, then you copy the input stream to the output stream. Okay, yeah, so finally we have done this. So let's now go to scenario and check it. Okay, file provider we have provided. Now let's go and create the repository. So create a repository package. So now let's go and create our repository package. Okay, so the storage section is done. So now let's go and create our repository package, repository package, and inside this repository package create a shield class that will hold the result of an API call. The subclass of the shield class will be success, error and loading. So we will be doing that. So the shield class, right? So we will create a shield class called result shield class, as you can see here. Okay, it's a shield class called result of type T, generics, and then we have a class for loading, pass the generics, result, and we will also have data class success, data type T, result, okay, and finally we also have our error section, error class, which so result, it's not the Kotlin result, but actually it's the result, this super result class, the shield class. Okay, so what we have done actually is we have created a shield class that would hold the result of an API call. The subclasses of the shield class will be success, error and loading, right? So now we have to, the next step is they define the repository interface that will contain two methods, one to load the list of URLs and other to download the file. Repository interface, so we have to now create a repository interface that will contain two methods, one to load the list of URLs and next one to download the and the other to download a file. Okay, so let's go and create the repository interface. Our download repository. So this download repository interface will have two methods, function load dog list, live data, and we have a result of type list of dog. Okay, but here we also need to get the our another interesting concept. Okay, let me just write any for the moment, and we will just have to create our UI item. Download file URL string live data result, and it's a unit. It's gonna return unit. Okay, so what next? So we have created our now. So define the dog UI model. Okay, so we have to define the dog UI model, that a class that will be used in the UI layer of your application, and then that will be created in your repository. Okay, so define the dog UI model data class, right? So it's called dog UI model class. So it will just contain the simple URL of type string, and after having this dog UI model, obviously we have to go and change our results to a list of dog UI. Okay, so what next, guys? After this, define a mapper class that will convert the your API model into entities, and entities into UI model. So we have to create a mapper that will create the models into entity and entities into UI model. So let's go and create our dog mapper class. So this dog mapper class will consist of two methods. So map service to entity dog list of dog entity dog.urls map dog entity, and it's gonna return the dog entity item and function. So yeah, there is another one to map entity to UI, right? So we have a dog entity, then just need to map it to and return the dog UI item. So dog UI item will be our dog entity.url. Okay, so this is our simple mapper. And what next now? So we need to define the implementation of the repository that will implement the preceding two methods. So we'll need to create a our dog repository, this download repository implementation class. The repository will hold the reference to dog DAO, the retrieval service class, the preference wrapper class, the class managing files, the dog mapping class, and the execute class for multi-threading when downloading the file. So we'll use the file name extracted from the URL. Okay, so let's go and create our dog, finally the dog implementation class, right? Dog so sorry, it's a like download repository implementation, download repository implementation class. So download repository implementation class will be pretty huge, because it will be consisting of all the references to the objects that we have created. So private val download preference wrapper, private val, it will be provider file handler. It will consist the reference for private file download service, val dog DAO. It will also private dog mapper. It will also have the executor for executing the separate thread, executor. Okay, so yeah, this is it. And then finally we have to obviously implement our interface, that is a download repository, and override our implement our methods, right? So we'll implement both of the methods. So let's start by doing the overriding this dog data list. So dog data list we'll have the result which is of media live data of type result, and is a list of dog UI. Okay, so this is our, and we are gonna return the result right, return this result. So but how will we get the result? So result post value loading at first, then result add source, we add our dog DAO, load dogs, we get the dogs entity, dog entities. So with this dog entities we will gonna do the mapping, result dot post value result dot success. Okay, then we have a dog entity map to the dog mapper, and map entity to UI, pass the ID. Okay, so here we have it. So now we have our download the services, get dog preference wrapper, get number of results. With the number of results, we enqueue our object callback dog. So let's import the dog. So we have to actually override implement all those methods. This is not the callback, this is the callback that we have to import is our retrofit callback, and we have to implement the members response and on failure. So on response, so we will be using if response goes to successful, then executor dot execute response the body let dog DAO delete all, and dog DAO insert dogs with the dog mapper map service to entity. Else, if it is not successful, result post value your result is going to error, right? So finally, also on failure, we will doing the same post, copy and paste it. Yeah, that's it, guys. And finally, we also need to implement our download file situation implementation. So obviously for downloading the file, we have the result is a mutable live data. The result will be the unit. Okay, and obviously we'll be returning the result. But we have to also implement all these download file situations, right? So what we have to do step by step is result dot post result dot post value result at first result dot loading, then download service download file. I pass the URL, then you have download then in queue with your object callback from callback from retrofit callback from retrofit and response body so here we have to implement the necessary members response and on failure. So on response you have similar scenarios, like if a response is successful, we have to execute with the executor in the new thread, try to response body let, if the body is not empty, name to URL substring URL last indexed okay +1 last indexed import of provider file handler write stream, then you write the stream to the name and response body byte stream. Okay and finally you have the result post value result success and unit because you have successfully download the file, right? And then exception, if you catch the exception result post value result error. We'll do the same thing also when we are we go in failure and pass also stack trace here, yeah, print the stack trace, and obviously we will also do the same thing if it is unsuccessful. Okay, so I think we are done with our implementation part of our repository. So let's see what's next. Let's go and create a class that will extend the application that will initialize the repository. Okay, so now we need our dog application. So let's go and implement our dog application class. So here our dog application will consist of the instance of our repository and preference wrapper. Dog download repository, and we'll also have our preference wrapper, download preference wrapper, So on create, what we do, we create the instance of retrofit builder dot base URL is our https actually, dog.co/api/ so then we have our add converter factory. Let's see, converter factory. Create, yes, and then the build. So we have created our retrofit instance, then download service, retrofit, create download service class. Okay, and then we have a database is our room dot database builder, and application context, passing the application context dog database class Java, and name of the database is dog db. So then also we need our obviously we need to build this. Okay, then we need our preference wrapper is our download preference wrapper, passing get shared preferences, and you name of your shared preferences my shared my dog shared preferences with mode mode private. Okay, and finally what we also need is our instance of our download repository. We instantiate our download repository implementation. Okay, so here we pass all our necessary instances, preference wrapper, provider, file handler with this file URI mapper. Then you have service, you have our database dog DAO, right? Dog mapper, executor, new single instance thread executor, new single thread executor, right? Yeah, so here we do the necessary instantiation. Let me go to my Vim file. So now finally we have to define the ViewModel class used by our UI, which will have the reference to the repository and call it to load the URL list and the images, right? And finally we have our UI section. Okay, so let's go and create our repository package, ViewModel package. Here I will be creating my necessary ViewModel. Okay, so my ViewModel will be my dog ViewModel. Okay, my dog ViewModel will have an instance of download repository, and it will be extending the ViewModel superclass. Now here we will have the necessary ViewModels like dogs live data, mediator live data, result, and you have the list of dog UI by lazy. Okay, mediator LiveData, the result, and you have the list of dog UI. Okay, so you also need the dogs LiveData, the result of a list of dog UI. Okay, and we also need our private val download result, mediator LiveData, result unit by lazy, mediator LiveData returns the result of unit. Okay, then we also need a public download result variable, result which will be also LiveData, and a result unit download result, right? So we need to define two methods to get dogs, which you will use the dogs LiveData add source, download repository, load dog list, and LiveData post value. IT, right? What's the difference here? Okay, actually what we are doing here is a mistake with the result. This result is actually this result. This result is actually this result. Okay, so now it's working fine. So now finally also we need to create a download file, passing the URL string download result, add source, download repository, which will be using the download file, passing the URL, and posting the value, result post value of whatever result you have obtained, right? So this is our view model. So now finally we have also created our view model, and now we have to define the UI, which will be composed of two activities, actually dog activity that I have already created, which will display the list of URL that will have click action to start the downloads. Okay, and so our dog activity, I have created a simple empty activity. So I will be creating my dog activity here, and obviously my dog activity has a RecyclerView, progress bar, and a RecyclerView, as you can see here. So my dog activity will need also adapter. Actually I have already created adapter, private latent dog adapter. Okay, so I need to create also first the dog adapter. So our dog adapter actually has this view dog item, that is a simple text view, and you also need to click, right? So private val on row click listener, stay here, which has the input of dog UI and it doesn't output anything, returns unit, so that means it doesn't return anything. but it takes the input of a dog input UI that you have clicked that dog particular dog items, right? So you have a dog view holder, so we need to also define and create our private val dogs double list of dogs item like that, that is a dog UI items. On create view holder, with you inflate your dog item view, you get the item size by dogs dot size. On bind view holder, you have to create your view holder, dog view holder, then also your view holder will have just simple text view. You have the position here, you need to if the position is greater than recycle view no position, then on row click invoke dogs position. Okay, it's greater than no position, so it is at least there is some position, right? Then you make a click, and finally you also need a bind function to dog UI and bind the function URL text view text is dog dot URL. Okay, so on bind view holder, obviously you need to bind this use the holder view holder and bind the your dog's position, means your dog item, right? So your item is passing the position. Finally you also need function update dogs, you pass your dog's list of dog UI, and this dot dogs dot clear dot dogs dot add all, and this dot dogs you add and notify data set changed. Alright, so we have created our necessary adapters. So now let's go and use them. In your activity, so we step by step update the view, download repository application as a dog application dot download repository. Main, you have your view holder, your just also need to create the instance of your view holder, like your dog view model. Okay, so now your dog view model class will be instance of view model provider, this, and you also need your object view model provider factory, and you need to override your create method, and here you will return your dog view model download repository as this generic type, and finally of type is a dog view model class of Java, right? So this is your dog view model. Then you have your progress bar. We can get the progress bar by its ID, but what we have to do is main our dog view model download the result. We observe the download results and say if the result when okay. Now so we will now check the result and do the necessary operations with the if the result is result actually this is not the Kotlin result but the result that we have created. Loading. Okay, so okay, we have not loading, we have success, we have error, right? So based on the binding the progress bar visibility will be view dot visible. If it is loading, then it's visible, right? Otherwise if it is success, then it's gone, and also in error it's gone. But in success we will just toast make text with this get okay, we can also see success toast dot length long. Otherwise if there is error, we will toast saying that it's a error, right? And obviously we need to show the text, otherwise toast, otherwise it's not gonna show. Okay, yeah, this is all about our downloading results, right? What else? What if now for we need to update our recycle view. Okay, our recycle view is like we can do something like this one with binding your recycle view layout manager will be your linear layout manager, passing this as a context require activity application context, and your view model your dog view model actually. Now first we have to create the adapter, actually adapter. Your dog adapter will be initialized with your dog adapter, passing your layout inflator from application context, and then you also need to provide your like your clicker, right? So whenever you click listener, like your view model, download the model, your dog view model, download the file, passing the dog URL, right? And then you have to assign the recycle view adapt activity main recycle adapter assigned to the dog adapter, and then you have to observe the results from dogs live data. So dog view model, dogs live data, you have to observe this view life cycle owner view live. Actually this is activity, so context Okay, so okay, this is a docs activity, and when the result is solved success, else so if it is success, then you have your adapter. Your dog adapter will update the dogs, otherwise you do nothing, and obviously here on resume, your view model, dog view model will get the dogs. Yeah, okay, so this is all about our main activity, but also I mean, like the dog activity, the activity will have the okay, so we also need our setting options, right? We also have a settings option that opens the settings activity. So let's also implement our dog settings activity, which will just pretty much grab your the user's input, that how many URLs it want to show, right? That's the motivation. So we will use the binding dot settings button set on click listener. Whenever you click the button, you enter the edit text and click the button, you will have to use the application as a dog application preference wrapper, save phone number to results. We will save the number, binding the we'll get the edit text value, text to string to int or null. If it is null, you just provide default value of 0, yeah, and just we pass the save number of the results here. Okay, so this is our settings, dog settings activity. Okay, if you okay, so now finally we are done actually. So we'll run the application and see if we are in the okay. So you see it has just 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 results it has shown us. But when you have your go to your settings activity and you see I want just 5, you see okay, now it's setting it. So now I go back, you see you have only 5 results being displayed, right? So that's pretty working fine. And if you just click here, you will have a loading and you have a success that the image is being loaded, right? And yeah, that's it guys, and this is a simple application. And if you want that your files is being loaded or not, you can just go to your application and check out your respective you have your data actually it's a storage emulated 0, and you have your Android data files. You have you see the pictures, you have the okay guys, let me just extend this one. This is all about once again so we have here downloads, movies, music, okay, pictures, recordings, audiobooks, TCM. Okay, so let me go to my you see we have a dog database that we have just created here. Files, preference, yeah, my dog shared preference that we have added. Result, yeah, as I added result of 5 there, you can see here. Alright, and what else, if you see the cache, user 0, yeah, in the cache, log, code cache databases, so it's all about the, yeah, so that's it guys, and hope everything is okay, and catch you up in the next lecture. Thank you guys.